Traveling. Okay. All right. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Good Enough Mom podcast. I'm your host, Natasha. I'm a good enough mom, and I want you to be one like me. I'm a mom of three, a newborn care specialist, a sleep trainer, and an entrepreneur. So let's get into what do I know that you can use, or what can we learn together to help us be good enough at this parenting game. Of course, dads can be good enough too. Inclusive. Anyhow, today we're going to talk about traveling. That is such a huge thing. Moms, dads, aunties, they're always like, how am I going to make it through this? This is not for road trips. This is exclusively for when you are flying. How can you fly in a good enough way where you're not overwhelmed, stressed, and everything? Let's dive in. One thing you need to do is when you're planning your flights, which you have to plan early if you're traveling with babies or kids, is land, make sure your landing time is like early evening or later in the day if you can. Sometimes it's not feasible, but use that choice when you can so that when you get there, it's time to wind down, shower, and go to sleep. That's the best thing. Usually kids are already tired from the flight. So if you land during the day very early, they're going to take an afternoon nap and then they're going to be wound up later. Especially if you're traveling to somewhere with a time change, a different time zone, landing in the evening helps you guys to get started on acclimating to the new time. Another thing you want to do is fly direct or fly with as few stops as possible. What is an ideal layover? Ideal layover is somewhere around an hour 10 minutes, because that allows you to move from one flight to plane to another one gate to another without rushing, without running. Use the bathroom in the airport if you need to, without spending too long there and getting tired. So if you can, you need to schedule a layover that's not too long. If you have to have a super long layover, there are places like the Dubai airport where there's a hotel in the airport. Sometimes that's an option, especially if you have super young kids, to have a layover where you're there a day and then you're either in the hotel, or there's some of these places where you can leave the airport and come back. That's also cool. The only time that doesn't work is if you have a lot of luggage. If you are traveling with everybody has two huge suitcases, coming out of the airport and going back is just way too much work. So you would just need to do a short layover. And if you have a super long layover, then you need a blanket, a pillow, or something in your carry-ons, which we'll discuss what to carry in a carry-on. But try to keep your layovers short. Don't make them too short. Do not do a 45-minute layover, because sometimes you have to go through security again. You have to do some gates. You do not want that pressure. Or if your flight is late, you are freaking out. Don't do that either. So try to get a direct flight, try to land early evening, and try to have a short layover. Another thing, when you're dealing with time change, people ask this question: what should the new bedtime be? The bedtime from the old place we were at or the new place? Just go to the new time. It's going to be rough, but there's no need to try to transition. It takes just as much time and it's more stress trying to transition than just diving headfirst. So just go in, go on the new time, and figure it out on the new time, which will probably mean in the afternoon trying to keep your kids awake at moments when they would rather be sleeping. But after a couple of days, they'll adjust. And kids adjust to things way faster than adults do. So you'll have that on your helpful part, that they'll adjust faster. So there's that. Um, During the flight, if you have young kids who usually are not allowed iPads, that's the time to give them the iPad. We're just being good enough over here. One thing it does, it allows kids to look forward to the flight, because they know. I used to be allow them unlimited. I still do. When they're on flights, they can drink soda as much as they want. Every time the attendant comes and asks what they want, they can drink soda. So they look forward to that. And then they look forward to their iPads. They'll go through some few episodes. Of course, you have to remember your own headphones. Sometimes the flight doesn't even give headphones if you're in America, the land of the most bare flights I've ever seen. So you have to come prepared. Please buy them in advance, because you don't want to buy $45 headphones that cost $5 at the gas station, but because you're at the airport, they're 45. So bring all your stuff in advance. Everybody should have their own backpack. As long as your child is like 3 and above, they can carry their own backpack. It's, of course, small depending on their age. And then in their backpack, they'll have their headphone. When they're young, they'll just have like their headphone and a change of underwear. The older they get, headphone, change of underwear, device, charging cable, they can put all that, and candy or a drawing book, Sudoku, whatever they like. Don't fill it up too much, but because it needs to be light in case you're walking around the airport a lot. But everybody should just have one carry on. You do not need suitcases that you're pulling at the airport. If everybody has a carry on backpack, that's good enough. Nobody needs a suitcase. If you have a small baby, an infant a year and below, sorry, you need a suitcase. But it doesn't have to have too much stuff. Carry-on for an infant will have diapers, wipes. It can even be your daily diaper bag, extra passies, sanitizing wipes, and then one little toy maybe, and a sound machine. That's really it. You don't need to carry too much. Oh, and some food, a bottle or something, 2 bottles, 3 bottles, because you might spill. So you don't want to just carry, oh, it's only a 3 hour flight and they only take 1 bottle, so I'm just carrying 1 bottle. No, it might spill and you might need more. So carry an extra one. But let's try to not carry too many things. And that way it allows us to find everything easily. Another thing you need to do is before you go on the plane or before you get to the airport, make sure everybody's full. People ate in the house. That way, when you guys leave, they're not like, I'm hungry, and then the food's not being served for another 30 minutes or something. Also, in your carry on, you can carry some instant oatmeal because if you have a young child, that one, all you need is hot water and they have something they can eat that's like going to really hold them. So you can carry instant oatmeal or a snack that you think everybody will have. Just remember, like, no drinks because you're going to give them to TSA anyway. Okay. So if you land in the morning instead of the evening, try to have an activity so that your kids are able to wait to sleep at night. If you have a toddler, a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, just know you're going to walk up and down the plane because that's why they get anxious, or not anxious, like where they get unsettled. And then people say, oh, I hate when kids fly when I sit next to a kid when I'm flying. I hate when kids fly because they're unsettled. But if after the plane is in cruise level and the flight attendant is back in the galley, like walk up and down the aisle with your kid and they're going to feel like they're still moving. So by the time you sit down for landing, they're going to be chill. Another thing you could do is when you plan the resort, if you're going to a resort, find a place that has childcare, a kids club, kids options, because that is going to allow you more time to do your own thing while your kids are also doing their own thing. Just because you're on vacation doesn't mean you're doing everything with your kids all the time, because that's where vacations stop feeling like they're vacations and start feeling like they're work. So I hope these few tips are good enough for you. Another one I can say is if you have an airport close to you that's less busy, you can go to that airport. Also, you should have a separate like fanny pack or something where you've kept all your documents, or in your carry-on, a Ziploc bag where you have your passports and stuff, that things they're going to ask that you could just show really quickly. But it's really easy to travel if you do a less is more mentality and you just charge all your devices. All right. I hope that's enough tips for you. If you have any other questions or any tips to add, please put them in the comments. I will definitely see them and then I will answer you back. All right. Have fun traveling. I can't believe I did it. I'm so tired.